Welcome to More Talk, episode 18. More Talk is the Moorish Directory's blog podcast. And what we're going to do today is answer a few questions for individuals who have been calling. The popularity of the site has been growing, and that's great because people are awakening. However, there's cause and effect to that popularity, and that is that time does not always allow for us to answer as fully as we would like to the questions of everyone calling to the extent that they deserve. And although we try to remain accessible, unfortunately, time is not allowing for us to answer everyone's calls as fully as we'd like. So we're going to take the opportunity in this podcast to communicate with the community as though they are, for the first time, contacting us with very little information regarding the Moorish paradigm, understanding who we are, where we're from, and a bit about our culture, and the resources that are available throughout the internet, not just at the Moorish Directory, for our community. And also to clear up a lot of the bad information that's been proliferating on YouTube and other places on the internet. So we're going to start somewhere near the beginning of when the Europeans came to our land in 1492. We've all been taught by our European or Eurocentric school system that an individual by the name of Christopher Columbus discovered America. However, what actually happened in 1492 was that Queen Elizabeth and King Ferdinand overthrew the Moors in Spain, then launched an exploratory mission of 3 warships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, to our shores in an attempt to overthrow the empire, which is located where we now call the Empire State, New York, where the Empire State Building is. Also, it was the World Trade Center, or the center of world trade. We were seafaring mariners navigating the oceans globally with trade routes which reached all corners of the globe. But let's back up a moment. Why did I say our shores? Well, the reason is, I'll explain with an example, using a saltine cracker. If you were to take a saltine cracker and break it in half, you'll find that the salt still remains on the left side as well as the right. The salt did not and would not exclusively jump over miraculously to the right nor the left side of the cracker. It would remain in place just as before it was broken. The same thing occurred with respect to the separation of the continents and the great pandemic separation. The inhabitants of those lands would have remained also on the left and the right. They would not have exclusively, somehow, miraculously, jumped over exclusively to the African side, leaving none of those inhabitants here. In other words, we were here since the beginning of time. That's what you would call indigenous and aboriginal. We are Paleo-American. We go back to the time of dust on this land. The term African American is a misnomer created by Jesse Jackson, a term which separates you from your nationality and your legal rights as indigenous and aboriginal to this land, America. So let's take a look at the word America, or American. What is an American? The term American is a derivation. When you think of someone with a slang in their voice, American, 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 Moroccan, a Moroccan, they're actually saying a Moroccan when they're saying American. You are not African American. but in fact a Moroccan. Indisputable proof and empirical evidence of this can be found in the National Archives in a letter from George Washington to the Emperor of Morocco, 31st of March, 1791, in which George Washington is thanking profusely the Emperor for allowing his people sanctuary on our land. And this letter is addressed to the Emperor at his palace in what we call now the Empire State, New York. The phrase or term Christ de Feu Cologne, or Americanized Christopher Columbus, literally means Christianity colonizing. Chris de Bol, or Christ de Bol, clone. To clone something is to replicate it or to have something become the same as which it is or that subject is. Christopher Columbus was a literary character created by an individual by the name of Pulitzer when he wrote the first teacher's guide, a manual that was mandatory for the public school system. The first teacher's guide was called The Discovery of America, an Outgrowth of the Conquest of the Moors by the Spaniards. Let's take a look at the word religion. Out of it we see the word legion. A legion, a vast host, multitude, or number of people or things, as in the Roman legion or foreign legion, a vast group of individuals brought together under arms for a campaign or crusade, war. A legion is a vast host or great number, multitude of people. A legion could be considered one's forebearers. It could be that vast host out of which you came. Looking at the word religion, we see legion. As in returning, realigning, reconnecting, reestablishing, a connection with your legion, or returning to the mindset of your ancient forebearers, realigning yourself, relegioning yourself to your cultural heritage. When you're studying and learning about your culture, you are literally, biologically, remapping the neural fiber networks of your gray matter in your brain. When Noble Drew Ali said, return to the mindset of your ancient forebearers, he was not just talking metaphorically. He was also talking scientifically, biologically, physiologically. He was talking about, in a scientific manner, the remapping of your neural fiber network. Think of it like this. An old radio dial, when you turn it trying to find a station, let's say 95 on your FM dial, as you're turning that dial, there's a lot of static, more static, less static, less static, less static, until it becomes crystal clear, because you're now on frequency. Well, when you first arrived into this dimension by your own volition, by your own choice, into this learning environment, this avatarial cocoon, this perception of reality, you came with your own unique frequency, vibration. Every cell in your body vibrates at a particular resonant frequency, which is unique to yourself and yourself alone. There are no two frequencies in any human which are identical. Just like a radio dial, 95.5. Well, With us, let's say 95.5.000700767. No one else has that number, except for you. There may be some that are close or similar, but no two are alike. There is only one you. There was only one resonating frequency, which is yours. And originally it was harmonious, in sync, in its proper place, in nature, in the cosmos. Now, as you are studying and returning to the mindset of your ancient forebears, you are literally, while sleeping, rejuvenating, reestablishing the correct neural fiber network patterns. Over the course of time, thousands of years, when we've been reprogrammed, the actual fiber network was scrambled. You could literally say that many of us have lost our minds. In that, when you have established a Eurocentric way of thinking, you are no longer aligned with your proper modem of thought. In other words, studying and remembering your culture, realigning yourself, reconnecting yourself to your heritage and hereditament is relegioning yourself to your ancient forebears. And as you are studying and becoming more adept, you are literally remapping the neural fiber network of your brain. You are becoming more optimally efficient in the manner in which you think, the processing that actually goes on when you're thinking regarding any matter. It becomes more efficient. Matter of fact, as you study, over a period of time, you'll find that it feels less like you're studying and more like you're remembering. Because remembering is, in fact, reconnecting yourself with your genetic understanding. It's called genetic memory. That mental genetic memory is in our genes. That's where you hear the term genius, the genes in us. Genetically, everything that has ever been is encoded within the DNA of your melanin. And as you study and start to pull back those scales of misunderstanding and realign yourself with your proper cultural heritage and who you are, your nobility and hereditament. Genetically, you are Asiatic, not African. Africa is a landmass, not genetics. A landmass cannot be genetic. It is simply ground, soil, earth. Genetically, you are Asiatic. In school, they taught you about Asia Minor. Wonder why they never taught you about Asia Major? That's because that is relative to your lineage, to your genetic lineage. Asiatic. Asia Major is relative to North America, South America, Central America. The Americas are relative to Asia Major. That's why they never taught you about Asia Major in school. They only taught you about Asia Minor. Going back to religion, we learned that religion can be thought of as realigning oneself, relegioning oneself to their culture, to their history, physiologically to the mindset of their ancient forebearers. Understanding your culture. There's an old saying that says, man, know thyself, and to thyself be true. But when we think of earth religions, no earth religion is inherently evil. As a matter of fact, all earth religions have a common root. If we think back to the time of Egypt, or what we call the period of the ancient mystery system, the school of the pharaohs. In Temple Luxor, or Luxor Temple, they learned of particular metaphysical teachings of a spiritual nature, of reality. Not this perceived reality, but the fundamental base reality, which is metaphysics. Ptolemy wanted entrance into the ancient mystery system, but was denied. So he began a bloodletting, cutting off heads of the priests until a particular individual by the name of Sylvester allowed him in and indoctrinated him as the first European pharaoh. But before that occurred, many of the professors, priests, wise men fled to the four corners of the world, taking along with them their particular adept understandings. Just like at any university, you have many professors with their own particular areas of knowledge. And when they left, taking that knowledge with them, that is what established the beginnings of earth religions. That's why we find a common thread, a root running of similarity through all earth religions. There are several stories that are similar, such as the story of Yeshua, the one they call Jesus, throughout all earth religions. Same is true with respect to his disciples. And it has to do with things that are relative to the, how would I put it, survival, dealing with agriculture, dealing with the astrological phenomenons of the stars and understanding when something should be planted, grown, and harvested, and things of that nature. These were survival skills that were taught within the ancient mystery systems using various codified messages. Getting back to Ptolemy. After Ptolemy was allowed into the ancient mystery system and named the first European pharaoh, he changed his name from Ptolemy, or adopted the name Serapis, which came from Sar and Apis. Apis relative to the bull, and Isis, and that was a combination which turned out to say Serapis or Sarapis. He created a bust of himself, a figurine, a sculpture from the chest up, that's a bust, and named it Serapis or Serapis. Later in his lineage, his great-great-great-great-great-grandson, during the time of the Nicene Council, proclaimed it to be law that Serapis, which literally means Christ Savior, or Savior the Christ. When the Nicene Council adopted the law that the image of Serapis would be used to represent Christ Savior, the name of an Aramaic revolutionist by the name of Yeshua, which they called Jesus, was then usurped to represent the image of Serapis. That's how you get Jesus, the Christ Savior, as representative of that particular image. This was done for political reasons, because Christianity, and there were many forms of Christianity, all types with all different types of meanings. But the government needed one in which the people could uniformly agree upon. So, in the Nicene Council, they established a universal Christianity, one in which all citizens could worship uniformly. And the image of Serapis used the name of the revolutionist rabbi, Aramaic from the Davidic order or House of David, Yeshua, or as they called him, Jesus, to represent the image of Serapis. That's how the name and title, Jesus Christ, Savior, came into being. Now, I've recently heard quite a few Moors going around saying that they believe that bonjour is the image that you see in the churches of Yeshua or Jesus. That's just incorrect. Bonjour was a pope. The term pope comes from the word Ptolemy, or the name Ptolemy, which, as we just learned, is the same as the image of Serapis or Serapis, which is representative or was adopted to represent that Melchizedek revolutionist rabbi, priest from the Davidic order, the keeper of the word of God. He was a metaphysicist. Pope Bonjour is not the image that you see in the Catholic or Christian churches. That is an image of Ptolemy, or the bust of Serapis. At themoorishdirectory.com, there's a great deal more of information with a great deal more specificity regarding each of the topics we've covered. So we're going to try to wrap it up, but there's a responsibility that we have also. When we're talking about responsibility, we're talking about response ability, the ability to respond correctly regarding particular issues of importance to our community, to clean up some of the misinformation proliferating. Proclaiming your nationality does not require you to go through the temple. You can go through the Moorish Science Temple of America. However, proclaiming your nationality is proclaiming your heritage. It is respecting and giving homage to your forebearers. It's genetic. Moorish Science Temple is not a magic gateway to your nationality. Your nationality is what your forebearers were. If you cut yourself, you bleed your blood of your forebearers. You are Moorish, American, a Moroccan, American, indigenous and aboriginal to this land. It's not a club. It's not something that you sign up for. It's something that you are. It's relative to your genetics, as we explained earlier. Moors, or the Moors, are simply individuals, brown people like you or I, who have chosen to identify themselves with a greater degree of specificity as to the legal and lawful nature of their heritage, their genetic background, their bloodline, identifying themselves as indigenous and aboriginal, Moorish Americans, paleo to this land, existing here since the time of dust. They have simply chosen to not exist in what they call civil liter mortuus, or to exist dead in the eyes of the law, because they know that if in fact they are identifying themselves merely as the absence of color, which is black, the absence of that photon energy, then they are stripping themselves of their human rights, and they wish not to operate underneath civil rights, which can be bestowed or taken away. That's why when a young man runs from one of the armed enforcers and are shot down, then it is a civil rights violation, not a human rights violation, because they are not viewing them as having a right to live. They are considering it a civil infraction. So again, Moors or the Moors are simply brown people, like you or I, who chose to identify themselves with more legal specificity as to the nature of their heritage, their forebearers, and giving honor to their forefathers as to the nature of their bloodline. It is not a club that one joins, it is genetic in nature. In the Moor science temples, they should be teaching the science of your spiritual self. I support the Moorish Science Temple of America, sociologically as well as economically. I understand the vital role that it plays in our community. It's important for our socialization. It's important for us to go to the temple, to fellowship with one another, to learn civics, history, more about our culture. However, there should be within the curriculum those study groups which are beginning the process of teaching true Moorish science, which is of a metaphysical spiritual basis. Studying the Circle 7 Holy Quran is critically important nourishment for our spiritual souls on a daily basis, not just during our temple gatherings. I read mine each day. True Moorish science has to do with studying self. As we mentioned earlier, the fundamental base reality is consciousness. The world you see around you is a perception. This dimension, this holograph, is perceived. Consciousness is the base fundamental reality. A physicist by the name of Einstein, during his final interview, one of the scientific reporters asked him, "What is reality?" And he responded by saying that it is what all of the gurus, the masterminds, the sages, and wise men of all ages have always said that it was. Reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one, end quote. He said that because Einstein had finally approached the precipice of his understanding after decades of studying physics. He began to understand and peer into the reality that he was always within the box, opposed to outside of the box. There is a subset reality, which is the physical, objective universe. And then there is a superset, which is consciousness, fundamental reality. These are the types of things that would have been taught within the Adamic ancient mystery system in Egypt, in Temple Luxor, what the pharaohs were learning. This is all part of our culture. Seek and ye shall find. That's a cosmic contract. It doesn't say seek and you may find, or you might find, or well, you could find. Seek and ye shall find is a promise. And for those that are seeking with an endearing heart, they shall find. Man, know thyself. This is just an incubator and a learning environment. It is to teach us how to lower our entropy. That's a term in physics. Entropy has to do with confusion or chaos. When entropy is high, that's chaos. Lowering one's entropy is order. Now, you heard me mention a little bit earlier the term God. Now, we know, of course, that that has a Eurocentric etymology to it. Not worth really going into much more than that. In physics, however, as well as metaphysics, one can think of it as G-O-D, good, orderly direction. As we study, recalibrating the neural factor network of our brain synapses, returning to the mindset of our ancient forebearers, we are studying self, the subjective reality, not this objective reality. That's critically important to be taught at the temples. Because when we say those phrases such as the uplifting of fallen humanity, we have to understand that that has to do with the evolution of the earth hive mind consciousness, and is not something that will be done from an objective position. The task of uplifting fallen humanity is scientific. When that mastermind, Noble Drew Ali, was naming the temple Moorish Science Temple, he purposefully put the term science in the center to remind us of the importance of that, because all sciences have methodologies. Something cannot be scientific if it does not have a methodology. That has to do with the functionality. And it's through the study of those sciences that the uplifting of fallen humanity will occur. Studying law is important. Studying history is vital. Studying our Holy Quran Circle 7 is a prerequisite. But so is studying other matters, which kind of leads me also to this subject. I have heard Moors say that you cannot be a Moor unless you are Muslim or that you study Islam. Again, being Moorish American is genetic. It's not a belief system. You have Moors who are Baha'i, Buddhist, Hindu, Asiatic, Taoism, many things. Those are belief systems. Islam. It's all important. I read my Quran of the East as well as the Quran, Circle 7, Holy Quran, Circle 7 of the Moorish Science Temple. I also study the Bible because I understand that within it, especially in its esoteric meanings, not the exoteric meanings, it still holds a lot of the keys relative to the ancient mystery systems encodified within it, because in fact it came from the scribes of our elders. So you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. As I stated earlier, this all comes from a common root. That doesn't mean that I'm studying the Catholicism, even though I study that academically so that I know about Catholicism, its history and its roots and how it came about, and we spoke about some of that earlier. But it's as important me reading the Bible as it is reading the Bhagavad Gita or studying with those in my neighborhood that are of the Baha'i faith or of the Hindu faith, because it's all one root of the root, cause of the cause, one creator. So this talk about one cannot be a Moor unless they are of a particular belief, it's not even logical, because your heritage is genetic, and that has to do with your nationality as well, not your belief systems. Also, I've been receiving some calls of people talking about how they can get rid of their Social Security numbers. Well, first of all, they don't have Social Security numbers. The Social Security Administration has numbers in which they use for particular administrative purposes. When I ask the individuals that call about this matter, I ask the question, what do you say when you're going to take care of some business and they ask you for your Social Security Administration number? They tell them, or they have told me, well, I usually say I don't have one. If you're trying to take care of some business, all you need to say is possessive, okay? In the possessive manner, say, the Social Security Administration's number that has always been used for whatever purpose exclusively to identify me is 251-553-84, whatever. And take care of your business and leave. You don't need to sit there and try to educate people, take them through that learning curve. The paradigm shift is too steep until such time that you can appropriately and responsibly become adept enough to separate yourself from it in a manner in which you don't leave your resources in someone else's hands. The reason I say that is that many of us have worked our entire lives and have had money taken out. That's yours. When I say money, of course, I'm talking fiat, resources, economics, monetary enumerations, assets. It's yours. Don't leave that for someone else. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I hope that everyone has enjoyed the presentation today. And of course, there's far more information with greater deal of specificity at the moorishddirectory.com. And for those who are not aware, there is a free copy of the book, The Key on True Moorish Science and Metaphysics, now available within your Moor's Guide to a Practical, More Hassle-Free Existence. That's basically like a user's manual as to how to navigate this particular system and how to operate appropriately in your proper personam. Of course, remember that there's no need to purchase packages out from any type of individuals who are trying to sell these proclamation packages. There is an easy processing PDF that you can obtain at moorishddirectory.com that provides you all of the information that you need, the templates, the examples, the addresses, everything that's needed with respect to proclaiming one's nationality, and understanding that it is your unalienable, aboriginal, and indigenous right to proclaim your pride in your genetic heritage. So, also free at the Moorish Directory, if you go to the home page, you'll find the book called Your Right to Write, the Right Writ, Right, which took about 5 months to do, and is free for download for Mac and PC users. And we're going to wrap this up by playing for you a short how to use your right to write the right writ right. And until next time, peace and prosper. Islamism, peace and love. So in closing, we'd like to thank you all for joining us for another episode of More Talk. And be sure at themoorishdirectory.com to click on the red seal and view the other More Talk episodes. Until next time, peace, love, and prosper. This step-by-step tutorial is just to show you how to use the new Moorish research resource called The Right to Write. The Right Writ Right. Now, when you download this file, this folder here in the zip format, what you'll do is you'll double-click it to open, and it will present you with a folder, okay? And inside that folder, by double-clicking it to enter, you'll see that there's 3 documents. The first one says, read me first. So let's do that. Go ahead and open it up. And you'll read that. And basically what this is providing to you is letting you know that it is in 2 formats. One is for PC Windows users, and the file is going to be saved in a Windows format. And the other is the exact same document, however, it's been saved in the format for Mac users called Pages. All right. So, as it says here, those individuals using Windows should open the file named for PC Windows users, and respectfully, Mac users should open the document entitled for Mac users. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and open the one that says for Mac users. Double-clicking that will open the file. Alright, so once you're presented with the file, the document itself, this document is exactly the same, even though it's in the format for Pages, which is for Mac users. The Windows users will see that it's exactly the same. The only difference will be these highlighted words here. I believe in Word is probably not pink, it's probably blue, if I remember correctly. And first of all, it's going to give you some information on how to use the document and the tools that are inside, such as the various devices. The tools are such as call-outs and book links, and identifying how to use the hyperlinks for the bookmarkers and the rest. But we're going to show you how to do that here. Now remember, this is a free document, and it's about 280 some pages. So there's a lot of research that's been put into this. It's been months and months and months of work to save you the time from needing to gather all of this information. And it's been compiled and put together in a very useful, handy manner that will allow for you to access information on various writs, what they are, in many cases the history of them, their terminology, and how they're used. And of course, throughout here also there's information on how these writs can be combined. And this is for you to be able to become more adept in your writing of writs and your combining of various writs in order to have the most effective writ possible. But this tool will certainly give you an edge up on that. So let's go to this first handy area here. All right, this is basically in a short index of general writs. And here it starts off with the history, and then it starts listing various types of writs that are here. And you can go through, and if you see a particular writ that you're interested in, you can just click upon it, and a bookmark will appear that will allow you to go to that area. Let's just go ahead and click where it says history so that you can see how this works. You click it, all right, and you'll be provided 2 options. One is to edit the link. Now, the reason that you have this is because it's not in documents usually that you'll get on the internet are in a already converted to an Adobe Acrobat version that doesn't allow for any modifications. This document will allow for you to make notes in it, modify it, whatever that you want to do to make it streamlined for your best use, all right, and to personalize it in any particular way that you might want to. So you can do also by editing the bookmarks, but I don't see any reason why you'd want to do that because the bookmarks are all correct and they will take you to the correct places. So the option you should choose here would be go to bookmark. So by clicking that, it's going to take you right there to where a brief history of writs. And as you can see on this page, these highlights here, when you hover over them, as you see, they'll provide you with greater information as to what the particular word or term might be saying. And where you see where it says show more, just click on that and it'll provide you with even more in-depth information on that one small phrase here, King's Bench. All right, it goes into the history of it, the information, and the rest. And that is so that if you're going and you're reading through here and you don't understand what a particular word means, instead of needing to stop and looking it up and the rest of it, we've taken the time. As I said, this has taken months and months and months to put together. And even though it's free, it's very powerful and very user-friendly. And that was the purpose of it. All right. So on each page also you'll notice, now as you see here, this popped up. There's also these blocks with further information here. This one has on habeas corpus and the writs of mandamus and prohibition and things, quanranto writs. And they have within them the same type of helpful information that provides you with even deeper specifics as to the specificity of what the particular word or topic or subject or phrase is that you're hovering over. Okay, so these are also within these secondary boxes for you to use. Okay, so you can close these out just by clicking anywhere on the document. And on each page, at the bottom, if you should ever want to return to the top, all right, let's say that you're going through and you click one of those particular index words that takes you into the document and you want to go back up to the top, all you have to do is go to the bottom, all the pages are numbered, and click where it says click here to return to index. So you'll click it and you'll choose that second option again, go to bookmark, and that'll take you back up top. So now you're at the top of the document again. Here, this is for the Moorish Nation Public Records. Okay, an extremely important site for our community. All right, let's click upon that and let's go to that. All right, here, Sister has placed a great deal of information that would be important for all Moors to be familiar with. And if you're looking at wanting to see the format of particular writs and the rest, you can download those here. All right, and it will provide you with the actual documents that were utilized. You can read through, and there's never any reason to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. All right, utilize these resources so that you will have access to, this is writ of mandamus, or of a era averment, excuse me, and when it was filed. All right, so go ahead and click on that, and just as another example, you'll see how it was formatted, okay, where this was filed, read the nature of it, okay, and the manner in which it was appropriately addressed, sealed, and provided with the principles. And read these writs, download them, copy them, put them in files. What I've done is each of the writs on this particular valuable, extremely, it's like jewels. All right, all of these writs I've gone through and printed on legal paper these documents, and I've placed them in binders. So I have those as my references. okay, that I utilize from time to time. This is invaluable information, people, and you need to get your hands on it. There are always mischievous things going on, and you need to keep your own records. Things on the internet tend to disappear, okay? So you need to make sure that you keep your own files. So should any type of catastrophic events occur, you have your own, okay? Like the saying says, God bless the child who's got their own. Well, when it comes to law and writs and things of that nature, believe me, that is couldn't be any more true. All right. So, all right, let's go back. So you'll see here that these valuable external hyperlinks are also within this document. You'll find links here to R.V. Bay publication, another major Moorish online institution, invaluable to our community. That is one that everyone should be aware of. Just like MoorishDirectory.com. You should go there, you should read it, you should take advantage of the information that Sister Roz Mariah May has placed on there, taken out her a valuable time to diligently make accessible to you, free, and visit RV Bay and study, right? So we're just going to continue to scroll down here, show you more of what is in this document. And as I said, it's very meaty, okay? Also in here, what we've placed for you, I'll just try to scroll down faster here, try to get to it because there is so much information, all right, in here, is that you'll find that you're going to have a list of all of the, if you come across something that is in Latin within a writ or what have you, or you don't understand it, we've broken down for you all of that information. So you should never be without a resource that's going to give you a translation for those Latin terms and dictums. They can also be used and placed inside of your writs, all right, because these dictums stand as law because they have stood the test of time, all right, and when you use them, they are as pertinent. They will not change. Okay, they are considered as empirical truths. Okay, and factual that you can lean upon and not expect to vary or waver in their impact. All right, very relevant material. All right. So anyway, not to take up too much more of your time. Time is valuable. More valuable than fiat. All right, so back to the top. As I said, it's free. Go to the MoorishDirectory.com, okay, and download yours today.